Have you guys heard of analog horror? Analog horror is a relatively new subgenre. It utilizes some of the aesthetics and technology from the 80s and 90s. Imagine you discover an old VHS tape in your grandpa's attic and slide it in. It has the same sense of discovery that a lot of other subgenres don't really deliver. And there's some excellent series that are out right now. Greylock is amazing. The Walton Files has some good episodes as well. And even The Man in the Suit's latest installment. Oh, however, despite this fact, it seems the community at large has a general concern, a worry. They all are asking the same exact question. Is analog horror dead? We're still in a post-urban spook era. His series, The Painter, mainly popular with middle school quiet kids who have a Shadow the Hedgehog book bag. Fuck. They defend his series tooth and nail. But what if I told you there's a more beloved series that may have been more influential and more damaging to analog horror? That's right. I'm talking about the Mandela Catalog, which hit analog horror like crack hit poor communities in the 80s. Once the Mandela Catalog really started to get popular, smaller creators jumped on the bandwagon of using stretched, spooky faces to get those cheap creep coins. Bottom line, quantity over quality has become a very common issue in the community, and we're starting to notice. And there's definitely some joke to be made here about mimics and copying the Mandela Catalog, but this little OgChamp stayed up until 4 in the morning playing the new Destiny DLC, so you're gonna have to make that joke yourself in the comments. Funniest one will get pinned, I guess. But Photoshop mimics aren't the only issue. Other examples of tropes include text-to-speech as well as government conspiracy, both of which were popularized by Local 58 and Gemini Home Entertainment, which were kind of the first of their kind. And those are just a couple examples. I mean, think about how many glitchy messages you've seen about a government cover-up, or how many text-to-speech voices generated by some software ripped from a website telling you about some ominous event. There's a lot, and it's kind of becoming a pain. Wonder how bad this will hurt. Right on the man milker. While these tropes were fresh and terrifying initially, their overuse has led to a lack of originality. This predictability undermines the genre's ability to surprise and scare its audience. The genre needs fresh ideas and new approaches to keep it alive and kicking. Let's go back to a classic, Gemini Home Entertainment. I bet you didn't know that they had a short little PS1 style graphics game called Lethal Omen, which gives you a little bit more lore and context for what's going on. A recent video that I'm a big fan of, the Boiled One phenomenon, does something a little different. Many of the details included in this work are based on real-world events. This gives an interested viewer something to look into and research. Little interactive elements like that are, they're so good. You know, they make you feel like you're discovering something. I feel like these interactive, engaging elements have been pushed to the wayside in favor of a more cinematic approach. And there's not anything really wrong with that, but when you have a community that's complaining about having repetition like that, I feel like that is a great avenue to really spice things up. Another challenge is storytelling. Some analog horror content relies too heavily on random, unsettling images and sounds without a really coherent story. Sure, a jump scare can make you flinch, but without context, it's just how any animal would react to sudden, unexpected stimuli. Random scary elements can confuse and frustrate viewers. Instead, creators should focus on building a strong underlying narrative that explains why these unsettling events are happening. Are we dealing with some kind of malevolent entity? Are we dealing with, a predator that is eating humans? What's the motivation? The events of the story need to make sense. They can't just be scary for scary's sake. One big thing that I really try and push in a lot of these criticisms and breakdowns is that your story should not be a horror story. It should be a story that happens to be scary. Because I feel like if you look at some of the better analog horror series, some of the ones that are held in a higher regard than others, if you'll notice, they have a story. They're trying to actually tell you a story. And, you know, if you look at some of the trash that Hollywood pumps out every Halloween, you know, you get things like The Nun, you know, the whole catalog of like more modern exorcist movies are a great example where it becomes less and less about telling a story. It becomes more and more about getting teenagers to pay $15 to go see it with their girlfriend. It's just made to make you spend your money and, in this case, spend your precious time. Some great examples of internet horror series that do a good job building up a story is Marble Hornets. I bet you haven't heard that name in a while. And Local 58. They both had a episodic approach. They drip fed the information to the audience slowly over the course of installments and different episodes. And having that ability to witness, in the case of Marble Hornets, characters develop and change, you become invested in the characters. In the case of Local 58, you were piecing the story together more yourself. I think I've ranted enough. I've gone completely off script for a good little bit here. My main point is that analog horror needs to change. It needs to evolve. It can't just keep using the same tricks, even if it worked once really well for somebody else. To answer the question, no. Analog horror is far from dead. But it is on life support, and I think rather than just pulling the plug and calling it a day, maybe we should work on fixing it. I hope this glorified rant is useful or at least entertaining to anybody. Leave a comment down below. Do you think analog horror is dying out, or do you think it's only just started? As always, thank you for your time and your support, and take care. Hello? I'm doing good. I'm halfway through recording. I told you I took the trash out.